again, everybody, and welcome to an all-new Wrestling's Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, Mac Davis. Along with me, my WWE Hall of Famer co-host, Mr. Holla Holla, Mr. Teddy Long. Hey, Teddy.
I don't know why you're trying to be all nice, giving me that nice introduction. I'm not going to feel any way different about you when this is over, okay?
I was talking about you recently. Where was it? Stu's Wrestling Podcast. I was on that show, and I had a chance to talk about you. And you need to listen to that whole show. We actually talk about you several times in that show, Teddy. It's Stu's Wrestling Podcast. If you're watching us right now, a big plug to Stu. I've known Stu for years. As a matter of fact, he worked with me on one of my original projects when I first started getting into doing things on the internet and producing content. And we did a show called Handshakes and Hot Dogs, and it was a comedy show. And he helped me with that. We had a lot of input. Missy Hyatt was in there. We had a lot of names that were actually joining us during that time. And but we just couldn't do it every time. But this guy, he continues to do his stuff over in the UK about wrestling and about football, which is soccer over there. And he has a great show, so look him up. Teddy, where are you right now? Are you on the road?
I'm just moving around. That's all you need to know.
That's all. You see, I'm trying to get the information.
I know.
Teddy, before we get into listener mail, I do want to bring up a few things that are happening in the news and just get your take on this. Huge rumors right now are circulating that Becky Lynch will be back in the WWE by the time Raw moves to Netflix. Would you like to see her come sooner rather than later? Because the women's division right now, just, God love them, it's just not that good.
Well, Becky Lynch has always been one of my favorites. She's a great competitor in the ring, you know what I mean? And she's one that came a long way in a short time. And she does a real great job out there. Her promos are good. And you remember you and I talked about the girls' promos. You know, I thought that if they started having promo classes to send those girls to, where they could learn how to do promos. Because it ain't just about the talk part. It's the positioning. You got to know where that camera is and not to play to the camera. You always let the camera find you. You don't look for the camera. So and I could tell on some of the promos that I've seen lately, they hadn't been taught that. So,
I agree. That does seem to be an issue with WWE right now, is the mic work for a lot of people. There's a handful of people who can use that microphone and do it justice. But more times than not, it does seem like the microphone ends up in the hands of people who aren't quite ready to be holding that microphone. So something needs to happen, some type of promo class, which I still think there is that available to them if they want it. But then again, this day and age, the performers are completely different than they were back in the 80s and the 90s. It just is what it is. But I think having Becky Lynch back into WWE, I think can only help the women's division. The only problem I have is even if she comes back, there's again still just a couple of girls really that she could get in the ring with that are ready to be in prime time. Would you say that?
Well, I gotta agree with you there too, but like I said, basically the young talent now, they're up and coming, and a lot of them are moving pretty fast, and they're doing good. So I do think that there's some girls there that could really be helpful with Becky Lynch, and I think Becky could certainly be a lot of help to them.
All right, let me ask you about something else. Eric Bischoff, he's been making a big push now for a friend of yours, John Bradshaw Layfield, to go to AEW, saying that there's been many critics to Tony Khan's style of management in AEW, suggesting that he prefers being liked over being, an actual boss. It's going to tell people what to do. And he's saying JBL would be someone that could get the job done, saying, quote, JBL is a guy who understands business, but also understands the world from the perspective of talent. And that's all it really takes, end quote. Teddy, good news for JBL if somebody listens, because there is a need for that in that company, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly, man. And JBL would be certainly the right guy for it. Let me tell you something about JBL. Me and him have known each other many, many, many years, okay? Yeah. And rode down the roads and everything together, me, him, and Ron. And the thing with JBL, you know, he's a guy that doesn't, he has a great attitude. He's somebody that's not going to, if the talent goes out, does something, you know, wrong or makes a mistake or something, then he's not one of those guys that as soon as they walk behind the curtain, they're getting cussed out or they're being talked to in a whole different manner. You know what I mean? When it's simply, they don't know, or they might have forgot, or things can happen out there. It's live TV. So JBL would be the one to do that because he would call them off, pull them off to themselves, talk to them like a human being, like a man, you know, and tell them what they did wrong. And, you know what I mean? And wouldn't scold them and, you know, make them feel bad. And that's what it's been a lot in this business. Because you've been around a long time. You know how it is back in the day. As soon as you went back there, you did something wrong, they're cussing you and, you know what I mean? So,
well, you know, I watch recreational ball and high school ball because I got grandkids that are, you know, playing age now where they can play, you know, from T-ball up to high school. And the one thing that I see is I see a lot of parents and a lot of people get upset because the coaches are yelling at the players and cussing at them and stuff like that. I thought that's what their job was. When I grew up, you had basically a drill sergeant for a coach who was trying to teach you respect and teach you how to do things correctly, even if they had to be a little hard on you. And I feel like that's disappeared.
Well, yeah, that has disappeared too. But like I said, I think the cussing and the belittling, you know what I mean? I think that needs to go.
Yeah, I don't think the belittling is any good, but
talk to that's a child, a kid you're talking to there. You know what I mean? Pull them off to the side. Everybody make mistakes. When you made that first mistake, I wish somebody had been there to cuss me out. I might not have made the second mistake. You know what I mean? But so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, I think we've gotten a little soft. I guess is
Well, pull the kid off to the side. Talk to that kid like he's a kid. Explain to him, hey, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you don't want to do. Here's what you need to do. And with all the, you know, like the belittling him and cussing, I'm just not with that.
Yeah. But let me bring something up while we were talking about JBL. I did see an interview he did, and I wish I could remember where it was. It was maybe with Chris Van Vliet or somebody just recently, and he named off all of his best friends. Teddy, you need to make a phone call because he did not toss your name in that list. I heard that and I thought, you son of a bitch. That's my friend Teddy you left out. I'm sure he meant to mention you, but you know.
Oh, hey, that's all right. I've said things, you know, people have asked me, who did I think? And I've left John out because I just didn't think about it at that time. You know, me and them were, but
you still need to give him a little hell about that.
I am gonna call him and ask him, okay, what's up, man? I didn't know I had no heat.
Oh yeah, you bring it up. We're going to talk about it again next week. He probably want to come on and give you an apology next week.
So you want me to line him up for the show?
Hey. One quick thing I do want to mention to Kevin Nash. Also, we were talking about AEW a moment ago, and he had said that he spoke to somebody in the company, Teddy. I mean, somebody high up in the company, and he told him, he said, you know, I actually think WCW in 1992 was more of a threat to WWE than AEW is now. And the person that he was talking to within that company said, quote, fuck, without a doubt, end quote. So there seems to be some serious issues in there that even the top brass inside AEW are aware they're having issues.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I don't know what's really going on over there. I just think that they just need to bring some people in, you know, that are with good attitudes and people that care about the business and want to draw money, and they're going to take the talent, teach them and tell them the right way and not the wrong way. You know, I mean, you have to change now, man. All that old school stuff, man, it has to go. That's out, you know. So just, you know, let's come into the 20th century.
One of the things I do want to mention while we're talking about AEW, I watched their program last night. I watched the first 45 minutes of the program, and then I had to turn it off. It was so freaking bad. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but somebody else within the industry that you and I work with, Teddy, had sent me a message and was also questioning a lot of what was going on during the show. It was not well done. They took Bobby Lashley and made him look weak with Swerve Strickland in the ring last night to close out the show, something along those lines, somewhere near the end of the show. And during that time, basically made Bobby look kind of weak. That doesn't make sense to me, Teddy. Shouldn't Bobby be coming in like a bulldozer?
If you're going to bring him in and do the right thing with him, that's how you would bring him in. I wanted to say one thing, what they're doing with MVP, Shelton Benjamin, I really like that. They kind of got them on the right track.
Yeah, except they took it off the track when they had MVP look weak next to Swerve last night. Look, he's twice the size of Swerve. You know what I mean? He's twice the size. And not only that, but he's new and he looks like a champion. He should be a champion. And to me, he just needs to be running through anybody that's getting in his way, much like a Goldberg did back in his day. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll just, like I told you, I already told you what the problem is. So we'll just see what happens.
All right, Teddy, we got time for some mail here. If you're ready, I'm just going to go straight into the mailbag. All right, we're going to go to Ann from California, who writes, what do you believe? Here we go. What do you believe AEW can do to get their fans back?
I don't know what they can do, and not to not answer your question, but I could care less what AEW needs to do to get their fans back. Okay, so we can move on to the next question.
All right, Josh in Milwaukee asks, you get a chance to work with a current WWE roster. Who are you picking to manage?
Current roster. Talking about maybe right now?
Current roster, yep.
LA Knight.
Wow. Yeah. So that would be interesting, actually, when I'm sitting here thinking about it. I can just imagine the combination would probably be really interesting on TV. And again, that's one of those things that you want. And you want somebody to tune in going, wait a minute, what are these two doing in the ring together? You know what I mean?
Something that you'd have never thought would happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, again, we were talking about this the other day on another show, that you catch people in glimpses. And so you've got to make everything look appealing to make them want to watch. Seeing Teddy Long and LA Knight in the ring or next to each other is going to make people stop. That's just the fact. So and that's a smart thing to do, actually.
Exactly.
All right, here we go. We got Walter in Tennessee. Name association time, Teddy. So I'm going to give you a list of names and just tell me if you have any memories or anything you can say about them as we go down the list. Which we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 or 7 here. First one is Al Snow.
Okay.
Al Snow. Did you work with him much at all?
Yeah.
Did you? Al is now he's doing the Ohio Valley Wrestling.
You know what his nickname was for me? It was Bubbles.
Bubbles?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to explain this now. What is Bubbles?
He come up with that. I don't know, but that's what he always said to me. Bubbles all the time. That was his nickname. He gave me that. That was my nickname. Now.
That was your nickname that he gave you was Bubbles. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. We're gonna have to talk to Al and find out why is he calling him Bubbles.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. The next one on the list is Big Daddy V.
Daddy V. God rest his soul. Viscera. Yeah, man. He was a great guy to work with, man. I had a lot of fun with Viscera. Viscera caused me to have to go to wrestler's court because I sold Viscera Viagra, and so they took me to wrestler's court for selling Viscera Viagra. And so Vince was the one that busted us because he had never took it before. So he started taking it. And then he come to me one day after he took one. He took one, didn't even have no girl around. So then he took one in the locker room, and then he come to me and he's tapping me on the shoulder. He's standing behind me. I'm like, what do you want? And he's looking down at his penis and he's saying, who's this? Whose penis? This does not belong to you. This is not mine. I swear. He was telling me that. Eddie, wow. This is not mine.
Oh, God. Let's see.
So I went to court and I had to get a lawyer, and so I got Mae Young for my lawyer, God rest her soul. And Mae Young I lost the case because Mae Young called it Niagara instead of Viagra. So that's how I lost the case.
All right, the next name on the list is Bubba Ray Dudley. These appear to be all SmackDown related talent during the 90s, it looks like.
Well, I worked with Bubba and Devon back in the day. Not too many members of Bubba. I mean, them all, talked or whatever, but I wasn't just really a big fan of his.
Would you say Bubba Ray is pretty much what you see is what you get? Is that him?
That's pretty much.
Okay, yeah, because he always seems, better for worse. He seems like he's being himself every time I see him, even though, a lot of times guys play characters, and I just feel like we're seeing the real Bubba or Bully every time we see him. So.
Yeah, and when I say about a big fan, we just didn't hang out, nothing like that. I don't mean I didn't like him or nothing, but I mean, like I said, we just didn't, hang out together. I did more with Devon than I did with Bubba. I had a more relationship with Devon.
Actually, you'll see Devon in our next episode, the Thanksgiving episode that's coming up next week. And Devon makes a special appearance in that episode, so you'll have to wait and see what he's doing.
Okay.
Right. The next name on the list, Chavo Guerrero.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had some good times with Chavo. Chavo did do something one time, man. Golly, I just can't remember what it was, but it's a great story.
Well, if it's a great story, how come you can't remember it?
I don't know, man. Golly, God, man, I've done so much with so many people, man. But I'll just have to say, because I can't remember what it was with me and Chavo, but I was driving somewhere, and Chavo told me something. That may come to me. I may remember that. But
if you think of it, then you just let me know.
But the thing about it, Chavo, great guy, man.
All right, the next one on the list we've talked about before, so you can just pass this one by if you want, or if you want to add something, you can. CM Punk.
Oh, yeah, man. All the time we talk about him. Me and him are good friends.
You sent me a picture the other day, as a matter of fact. Ted.
Yeah, well, CM Punk sent me a picture of his dog. And so
you sent it to me, and the first thing I said was, Larry. I knew that. There's no mistaking his dog. If you've ever seen CM Punk's dog, you will always remember what Larry looks like, because he's got a very unique look.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of his dog, man. It was I had to send it to you. It was outstanding, man. Yeah, CM Punk, him and I, real good friends, and I miss really working with him. He's a great guy to work with.
He seems like somebody who cares about the business. It can be a little intense at times about the business, but overall, he cares about the business.
And he does care.
Yep. All right. We got two more names here. Kevin Nash.
Kevin and I always got along, spoke and talked to each other. I've seen him on a lot of signings now that, back and forth, and then when we was all working together, I always had time with Kevin, and also God rest his soul, Scott Hall. So those two guys were, they were always great to be around.
All right, the last name on this list here, Teddy, is one that I don't think we've ever discussed. Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Gene Okerlund. I had a chance to talk to him, God rest his soul, and Bobby Heenan one day, God rest his soul. They talked to me. I was in WCW, and we were standing there talking, and I'll never forget, Bobby Heenan said to me, he said, if Vince McMahon knew you and knew what you could do, he'd have you right there, right now. And Gene Okerlund okayed it. He said the same thing. He said, if Vince knew you, and they both told me that, and I didn't think even nothing about it, because I'm like, I ain't never going to Vince or nothing, so I never did think nothing about it. But then when I did go, those are some memories that came back to me, what Gene said to me, what Bobby Heenan said, also what Joe Briscoe told me one time, you know what I mean? It all came back, and it all came true. So I thought about all that.
That's somebody who's cluing you in because they want to see you do well, versus most of the people in this business who don't want to see you do well. It's not that they hate you. It's a job, and they got to go after the best job they can, even if that means stepping on top of you. But there's a handful of people who always reach out and try to help you in the business and make you aware of things so that you can last in the business, much like you've done with me over the years and what they did with you. And I talk about that all the time. There was something else I was going to bring up. Vince and Linda McMahon have separated, Teddy. Just breaking news. I saw that they're separated. It's a sudden thing. It's just everywhere.
Well,
what's wrong with people?
I don't know anything about that. I mean, far as I know, I didn't even know they were separated. I heard back, to rumors and stuff that Vince was living in Florida or something, and
yeah.
But like I said, I try to stay away from that. I don't know nothing about
that's
that.
not really. But I mean, to be honest with you, I've heard about Linda and Vince McMahon not being together for years. It's nothing new. This is not any kind of big news. For whatever reason, though, it hit the internet like it was suddenly just, can you believe it? They separated. It's like, did you watch the documentary?
Well, they just took advantage of the news.
Yeah, slow news day.
A lot of people don't watch the news now.
Yeah, well, no, because it's much like wrestling. They watch the bits and pieces they want, and that's it. And you never know if you're getting the right information.
That's right.
That's the scary part. We'll get into politics if I'm not careful here, but it is scary that we can't trust our own media to tell us the truth.
Well, if you want to know the truth, we can.
Yep. You just have to pay attention. More than anything else.
So pay attention.
You gotta pay attention.
Words. I tell that to the niece all the time. Pay attention.
Yep. Pay attention. Well, 1 hour. Pay attention. And we'll send you to Wrestler's Court when it's over with. This has been Wrestling's Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, Mac Davis, and of course, that is WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. And we'll see you again next week.
Holla, players.